Type 8,
Yeah,
the
man.
challenger, commanding, intense, and confrontational. 8s are motivated by a need to be strong and to assert control over their environment and others, to avoid revealing weaknesses or vulnerability.
Yeah, man.
This is clearly Donald Trump. I know you thought he was a 2, but I think he's an 8.
I did not make that misidentification. I can promise you that. I did not, So, these are people who are larger than life presences. I don't know if I ever said this to you, if I mentioned it before, but one of my favorite quotes about 8s is about Frank Sinatra, who was about 5'2".
Okay,
right?
yeah. And he was an 8?
Oh.
Yeah.
And
rough character.
Oh, yeah. His friends used to say, you could feel Frank walk into a room 15 minutes before he got there. And that's an 8, man.
Yeah.
Jack Welch would be one.
Jack Welch is 8. Donald Trump is an 8. Dick Cheney is an 8.
Mm-hmm.
On and on. They tend to be, kind of black and white thinkers in some way.
Definitely black and white
A little
thinkers.
bit bulldogs or pit bulls.
Yes, they can be.
And I either really love an 8 or really don't want him around.
Just depends on the level of health.
Yeah.
Right?
I really like a lot of 8s.
Oh, 4s and 8s have great relationships because both feel very misunderstood in life.
Huh, is that right?
Oh, absolutely.
8s feel misunderstood in what way?
Well, because they present this very rough exterior, but on the inside,
Are they sensitive?
I don't know if I use the word sensitive.
They're not strong empathy characters, usually, right?
Not like a 4 would be, or a 2 would be, or even as like a 3 would be. No, they these are people who they tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and you better do the same with them. For example, that's a do with them, right?
Yeah. Well, you say that, but Trump is known for not telling the truth, or at least that's the perception of him.
Right.
But one thing that I think about somebody like Trump, and I don't mean to bring up the president because I know it's a sensitive issue, but they sort of believe their own weather sometimes.
7s can do that.
Where they say something into existence because they want it to be true,
right?
Which is technically lying, of course. Yeah. But I also have a lot of empathy for somebody who's
Jobs,
doing that.
Man.
Yeah, Steve Jobs,
right.
And a lot of that stuff becomes true.
It does, but people used to say that he used to give off this perception reality field. I can't remember what they called it. Where he would create this other world and you'd buy it. I mean, you'd buy it. It was mesmerizing.
Right.
That's also the reason. If I had to be honest, and I'm
was
not going to tell you
Steve
what
Jobs
I think.
Was an 8?
No.
Oh, what was he?
No. I get, there's two sort of lines of thought on it. One is that he was a 7. The other one is that he was a 1.
Well, that's fascinating.
Which is interesting because, they share a line on the Enneagram.
Yeah, 7 goes to 1 when they're healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So
that's another, you got to get into the book.
Yeah, another time. But I think the thing you need to remember about 8s, right, is they have a squishy middle. They have a lot of heart. They care deeply about people. It's just fortressed. You don't see it very often, right? And that's why they're easily misunderstood. 8s are always confused when you tell them, you're intimidating, domineering, blunt. They're like, what? I'm just a straightforward good guy. I got a lot of heart.
Yeah.
So they kind of.
I've also noticed 8s will die for you.
Oh yeah.
They will lay down their lives for you.
Mm-hmm.
They are so committed to your success. And I've also noticed, even though they can sometimes have controlling, dominant personalities, they're really not envious of your success as long as you're acknowledging they played a part in it, and they love loyalty.
Oh.
it's their love language.
So a
loyalty.
big theme in the life of 8s is a fear of betrayal. That's why they only have 4 or 5 dear friends. I mean, really close friends in the course of a lifetime. That's why they'll take a bullet for a friend.
Yeah.
Right. Loyalty is a gigantic theme. But can I just? I'm going to hit the Donald Trump thing once again. This is not a political opinion or commentary. One of the reasons I don't think he's an 8.
What?
Yeah, I don't. I'm not sure.
Keep going. Sell me on it.
I think he might be a counterphobic 6.
Oh, because they are. That's a counterphobic 6 is not something I totally understand. I understand the phobic 6.
So
the counterphobic 6 is afraid, and then they lash out against what it is that they're afraid of.
Yes. And so a counterphobic 6 would rather rebel than submit. A phobic 6 would rather submit than rebel when it comes to authority figures in both, right? So 6s don't know they're afraid, right?
Okay.
They're out of touch with their fear, and they can be very aggressive towards systems or people that they feel are sources of danger, right?
Yeah.
And so they're always wanting to bring down the authority structure, or always want to bring down the man for example,
Yeah.
right? And they're very suspicious of other people. And so an 8, for example, people tend to think of 8s who we're talking about right now as bullies. They're never bullies. In fact, they stand up to bullies. They always fight for the underdog. Unhealthy 6 is the one who's a bully because they're
the counterphobic unhealthy 6.
The counterphobic 6, unhealthy, in an unhealthy state, is a bully because their bullying or their aggression is rooted in fear.
There's definitely a
strength.
sense of panic when you actually say, why in the world would he say that in public unless he was deathly afraid? You think about fear and the motivations
But
of
it's
fear.
completely masked behind an exterior of roughness and confidence.
All right. Do's and don'ts with an 8.
Yeah.
Do's.
Yeah. So you want to know that 8s will test authority. So you need to set limits. You need to have boundaries. You need to give straightforward
And they're
feedback.
great with that.
Totally great.
If you're a little bit of a weak personality, they'll railroad you.
Oh, yeah.
But I would say you actually just set boundaries and say, hey, this is what our relationship is going to look like, or this is what, and they're great with it.
Yeah.
They just need to know the rules.
They need to know you're the boss.
Yeah.
And that they can trust you
Yeah.
to be the boss. Never waffle. Don't be indecisive. Don't change plans midstream. Commit to a course of action. They'll follow you. If you're weak,
Wow.
if
That's
you're
great
weak,
advice.
you're invisible. And if there's a power vacuum,
They're going to take it. They're going to step in.
3s or 8s will take it. For sure.
Okay. Don'ts with 8s. Well, you actually hit a lot of them. Don't waffle or waver when you commit to a course of action.
Yeah. Don't let them take action too quickly either. Because they're big, bold decision makers.
Yeah.
And don't let them do it without consulting with others first or thinking through the consequences. Because, for example, I've told 8s before in sort of consulting positions, like, just because you feel screwed doesn't mean you are screwed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So think through things before you react. Don't go into reactivity.